Namaste. Today I'm going to read Volume 1, The Glory of Shiv Purana, Chapter 5, Binduga's Salvation in the Shiv Puran. Vakratu Namakaya Surya Koti Samapran Nidevekanam Gunam Sarvakaya Surya Vekadantaya Virma. Hariam Tatsat. Saunaka said, O Sutta, the fortunate Sutta, thou art blessed with thy mind engrossed in Shiva. The story that thou hast narrated to us is wonderful and conducive to the increase of devotion. What did the woman Kankula do after obtaining her salvation? O intelligent one, please tell me in detail the story of her husband too. Sutta said, once she approached goddess Uma Parvati. She bowed and offered prayers to her with palms joined in her flutter of delight. Kankula said, O mother of Skanda, daughter of mountains, thou art always served by men. O beloved of Shiva, the bestower of all pleasures, having the form of Supreme Brahman, thou art worthy of being served by Vishnu, Brahma and others. Thou art both endowed with and devoid of attributes. Thou art the subtle primordial Prakriti with existence, knowledge and bliss for thy forms. Thou createst, maintainest and annihilatest. Thou hast the three gunas. Thou art the refuge of the three types of divine beings. Thou sustainest Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesa. Sutta said, offering thus her prayers to the goddess Kankula, who had attained salvation, cease to talk with shoulders stooping and eyes brimming with tears of love. Parvati, the beloved of Shiva, ever favoring her devotees, was greatly moved by pity and said to Kankula lovingly. Parvati said, O Kankula, my friend, I am pleased to hear your prayer. O beautiful woman, what is the boon you crave from me? Tell me, there is nothing that I cannot give you. Sutta said, thus urged by Girija, Kankula bowed to her. She asked her, bending her head and joining her palms together with great devotion. Kankula said, O celestial Girija, I do not know where my husband is at present, nor where he is to go. O benignant favorite of the distressed, please make such arrangements as would enable me to join him. O great goddess Mahesani, my husband had a Sudra woman as his concubine. He died before me. I do not know what befell that sinner. Sutta said, on hearing these words of Kankula, Parvati, the daughter of Himalaya, who is fond of justice, replied lovingly. Girija said, O daughter, your wicked sinful husband, Binduga, the foolish wretch enamored of prostitutes, has been to hell after his death. He underwent the various tortures of hell for many years and has now become a pisacha due to the residue of sins in the Vindhya mountains. Even now that wicked fellow is undergoing various painful tortures. He, in the form of a pisacha, has only wind for his diet and is suffering from all sorts of miseries. Sutta said, on hearing these words of Gauri, Kankula of auspicious rites was overwhelmed by the pain at the news of her husband's distress. She somehow steadied her mind, bowed to Maheshvari, and with a worried heart asked the goddess. Kankula said, O Maheshvari, O great goddess, be kind to me. Please redeem my husband, a wicked perpetrator of evil actions though he be. What is the means by which my husband, the sinful wretch of crooked intellect, can attain salvation? O goddess, obeisance to thee, please explain to me. On hearing these words of the woman Parvati, favorably disposed to her devotees, replied to her chaperone Kankula, delighted in her heart. Parvati said, "If your husband were to hear the holy story of Shiva, he shall surmount the misery entirely and attain salvation." On hearing these words of Gauri, little short of nectar, she bent her shoulders, joined her palms, and bowed repeatedly with great devotion. She requested the goddess to provide an opportunity for her husband to hear the story, for quelling his sins and gaining redemption. Suta said, Gauri, the beloved of Shiva, on being frequently requested by the woman, took pity on her, making it clear thereby that she was favorably disposed to her devotees. Lovingly she sent for the Gandharva king, Tumburu, who used to sing songs of praise of Shiva. The daughter of Himalaya said thus to him. Girija said, O Tumburu, the favorite of Shiva, ever ready to do as I wish, blessedness be thine. Accompany this lady immediately to Vindhya mountain. There is an awfully terrible Pisacha there. I shall tell you all his antecedents. You will be interested to know the same. The Pisacha had been a Brahmin in his previous birth. Then he was the husband of this woman, who is my chaperone now. He was very wicked and had a Sudra concubine. He was impure, never caring for the daily performance of ablutions and Sunday prayers. His mind was ever vitiated by anger. He ate all sorts of foul things. He quarreled with good men, and whatever he undertook had been bad. He was violent in his ways, bearing weapons and oppressing poor people cruelly. He used to take food with his left hand. He used to commit arson in other people's house. He was friendly with Chandalas. Every day he took delight in the company of prostitutes, forsaking his own wife. The roguish sinner took delight in associating with the wicked. In evil association with harlots, he destroyed all his merits. Besides coveting more and more wealth, he made his own wife a fearless sharer of her paramour's beds. His evil ways continued till the last moments of his life, and when he died, he went to Yama's city, the terrible place where sinners reap the fruits of their misdeeds. After undergoing the tortures of many hells, the wicked wretch is now roaming in the Vindhya mountain as a roguish, sinful Pisacha. Narrate the holy, sanctifying tale of sacred Shiva Purana that quells all sins in front of him. Immediately after hearing the great story of Shiva Purana, his soul will be cleared of sins and he will cast off his ghosthood. I order you to set the Binduga free from the miserable plight of Pisacha and bring him in the aerial chariot in the presence of Lord Shiva. Suta said, commanded thus by Parvati, Tumburu, the lord of Gandharvas, was much delighted and thought within himself how fortunate he was. Tumburu, the comrade of Narada, went to the Vindhya mountain, seated in the aerial chariot in the company of Kankula, the sinless woman, and saw the Pisacha laughing, crying, and loudly shouting by turns. His body was very huge, his jaws were immensely large, and his form was very crooked. The powerful Tumburu, the singer of the excellent songs of praise of Shiva, forcefully caught hold of the terrible Pisacha by means of nooses. Thereafter, for the sake of the discourse on Shiva Purana, Tumburu made elaborate festive arrangements. There was much talk and discussion among the people of all the worlds. O Tumburu has gone to the Vindhya mountain at the suggestion of goddess to narrate the story of Shiva Purana to redeem the Pisacha. The divine sages too hastened to the place for listening to the same. The wonderful congregation of those who assembled there, reverently eager to listen to Shiva Purana, was very auspicious. They bound the Pisacha with nooses and compelled him to sit there. With the lute in his hands, Tumburu began to sing the story of Gauri's consort. Starting with the first Samhita compendium and ending with the seventh one, he clearly expounded the whole of Shiva Purana along with its Mahatmaya greatness. When hearing the Shiva Purana consisting of 7 compendiums, with great reverence, all the listeners deemed themselves highly blessed. The Pisacha too, on hearing the holy Shiva Purana, cast off all his sins and discarded his ghostly body. He assumed the divine form of the three-eyed moon-crested god Shiva, white in complexion, clad in white cloth, with the body illuminated and embellished by all ornaments. Taking up the divine body, the glorious Binduga, accompanied by his wife, sang the story of Parvati's consort. On seeing his wife thus, all the divine sages had a welcome surprise and were highly delighted in their minds. Gratified on hearing the wonderful story of Shiva, they returned to their respective abodes, delightedly glorifying Shiva. Binduga, in his divine form, ascended the aerial chariot with great pleasure. High up in the sky, with his wife at his side, he shone brilliantly. Singing the pleasing attributes of Shiva, he hastened to Shiva's region, accompanied by Tumburu and his own wife. Binduga was welcomed by Shiva and Parvati and was lovingly made their attendant. His wife became the chaperone of Girija. In that permanent abode of excellent bliss and sublime lustre, he acquired an unassailable residence and obstructed pleasure. Thus I have narrated this holy antidote that removes sins, is highly delightful to Shiva and Parvati in pure and heightening devotion. He who listens to this account with devotion and recites this piously shall enjoy immense pleasures and obtain liberation. Footnotes. In the Puranic mythology, Parvati is the daughter of Himalaya and the wife of Shiva. In the cult of Shakti and Tantras, she has been identified with Prakriti itself. Almost all the Puranas speak of her as Prakriti, and her 3 gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, are the 3 gods, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. Vindhya, 19. Vindhya, it is a range of mountains which stretches across India and divides Madhya Desa or Middle Land from the south. It is one of the 7 Kula Parvatas and is personified in the Puranas. Here ends today's reading of the Shiv Puran. Om Prabhu Prananatam Vivumveshwanatam Jagannatanatam Sarantapacham Putiputam Bhueshwaram Bhutanatam Shivam Shankaram Shambhumeshanapite Om Kapura Kauram Karunavataram Sansarasaram Bhujagendrahadam Sadavasantam Hridara Vinde Bhavam Bhavami Saitam Namami Om Namah Parvati Pate Hara 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 Mahadev Om Jam Sam Bhurva Saum Trambakam Mejami Sukandam Pushtivararam Urvarakami Papanam Mirchumukshamam Tat Om Swaha Bhuva Bhuvam Saha Jam Om Om Tuya Mata Chapita Tuya Bandusha Jasaka Tuya Vidya Dravinam Tuya Sarva Mamadi Om Shanti Shanti Om Hari Om Tat Sat.